Every modern nation-state runs on a legacy operating system with a structural flaw: geographic centralization. This architecture funnels tax revenue, infrastructure, and human capital out of rural peripheries and into a single capital city. This creates a two-way resentment. The periphery feels economically exploited by the center, while the capital city believes it is single-handedly subsidizing the provinces. When one region generates the wealth, but feels politically sidelined by the capital, you create the specific friction that fuels separatist movements and civil conflict. This friction is rarely solved by debate. It is a mathematical imbalance in the state's geography that requires a re-engineering of how power is distributed. To test a new architectural solution, consider Serbia as a theoretical model. Here, Belgrade and a few urban centers hold a disproportionate concentration of economic mass. Surrounding regions absorb the financial drain, creating high-friction zones where state authority feels like a burden. The challenge is writing a new set of geographic and electoral rules that make secession and political manipulation a structural impossibility. Secession must be rendered unviable, and the practice of gerrymandering must be made entirely useless. These goals are achieved through a framework called algorithmic statehood. Stability in the system doesn't come from drawing hopeful lines on a map, but from coding inescapable dependencies between the city and the countryside. The system starts by defining a stable province. It must be a contiguous territory containing between 400,000 and 1.5 million people. But there is a mathematical constraint. A province is forbidden from containing any single city larger than 150,000 people. The exact moment a city's population breaches 150,000, it is automatically and permanently removed from provincial jurisdiction. The newly isolated city and the surrounding donut province now operate as independent, equal entities. This extraction prevents the two regions from cannibalizing each other's budgets. An urban center focused on tech and services no longer competes for resources with a province prioritizing heavy agriculture and manufacturing. By separating these hubs, each entity can optimize its own distinct economic engine without the friction of a shared provincial budget. This creates a solution for the ultimate threat to state stability: regional secession. Historically, a province attempts to leave by leveraging its wealthiest capital city to fund and legitimize its breakaway movement. Under this rule, a seceding province finds a hole in its middle, lacking the financial infrastructure to function. Conversely, if the isolated city breaks away, it has no agricultural land or resources. It is an island it cannot escape. This architecture is known as the symbiosis trap. By design, neither the city nor the province possesses the complete toolkit required to survive as an independent state. Divorcing the economic engine from the territorial mass forces a mandatory partnership at the federal tier, making the logistical cost of secession higher than any potential benefit. This multi-hub system also strips the national capital of its monopoly on power. Municipalities are now incentivized to grow their populations to cross that 150,000 threshold and achieve autonomy. As more cities become autonomous hubs, the national center loses its ability to dictate local development or hoard national wealth. An anti-fragile state is built on a network of mutually dependent nodes rather than a single central pillar. Control is also exerted through the manipulation of electoral borders. This is gerrymandering, the practice of redrawing district lines to ensure a specific party wins. If a party secures a razor-thin 51% victory in a district, they receive 100% of that district's legislative power. This exploit is possible because of a hard-coded assumption in modern parliaments: one representative equals exactly one vote. Treating an elected official as a binary winner, regardless of whether they won by 2 votes or 2 million, makes crooked map drawing a winning strategy. As long as marginal victories yield absolute power, politicians optimize for cartography rather than voter approval. We can remove the incentive to gerrymander by introducing exact weight voting. This is a system where a representative's legislative power is tied to their actual voter support. Representatives cast votes based on an equation: approval votes minus opposition votes. A popular official with 50,000 approvals and 10,000 oppositions holds a weight of 40,000. But a gerrymandered politician with heavy opposition finds their voting power mathematically insignificant. Squeezing out a narrow win through map manipulation no longer grants a full parliamentary seat. It only yields the fractional weight of that tiny margin. The incentive to gerrymander collapses. If drawing a safe district increases your opposition or narrows your margin, the map becomes a weapon used against your own power. District lines lose their utility when power is derived strictly from raw demographic support. The corrupted borders dissolve, leaving only the numerical weight of the voting population. Exact weight voting makes electoral manipulation obsolete. Hard-coding power to mirror the voter count aligns the state's legislative structure with its demographic reality.